We're now at the point where we'd like to create the pond object. So we're going to use some similar methodology to creating the pond. We've already created the elements out in the file for you, so we can simply assign elevation to them at this point. The pond object is going to be between the roadway and the building, and we're going to set the pond bottom at a certain depth below the ground surface, and then come up out of the pond and create a bench. Beginning in our training guide, we'll be at page 1-12, and we'll carry it through to 1-14. And we'll also look at the volume, how to analyze a quick volume of the pond. So go ahead and get back into Power Civil and open up your site plan 2D DGN, and also we're going to get into our project file siteplan2d.gsf, where we already have modeled the building, and now we're going to model the pond. So I'm going to kind of visually zoom in to where the pond is, and just like before, the first thing I'm going to do is create an object. So I've got a new object. This time my object type, I'll change that to pond, and I'll allow the object name to be pond1, and I'm adding it to the active model. Now that I've created the object, I can assign elevation, feature type, and association to the pond shape, which in this case is the pond bottom. We could also obviously work from the top down into the pond, but I've decided to make this the shape of the bottom and work up and out of the pond. We're actually going to use the same tool we used before, drape on model/object. So calculate the elevation of this for this blue shape based on a ground surface, but I also want to lower it -4 feet. -4. So we're going to find the lowest point, in this case, the minimum, and drop it 4 feet. So my pond is actually going to have a flat bottom set 4 feet below grade at the lowest point. I'm going to select the element. So we've assigned the feature, the elevation, association. We've got the object set correct. We've selected the element. It's highlighted and it's yellow, just like the dialog is set to. I click apply, and it adds it to my object, which is in turn added to the model, and the slopes are shown at 3:1 for ponds in this case. Now that I have the pond bottom in there, I'm going to come up and out. Maybe I want 4 feet of storage with a foot of freeboard. So I want to come up the side at 3:1 for 5 feet. We have a tool under modular elements called side slope. This tool allows me to create site elements based on a slope from another element. So in this case, I don't have the 2D or 3D Power Civil graphic. This tool will actually draw the graphic for me and assign elevation to that graphic based on the criteria that I give it in the dialog. So for example, I want to define an element based on a slope, and that slope I wanted 5 feet of storage. So for delta vertical, 5 feet, and I want to come up at 3:1. So I say 3:1. When it gets there, I want to have it draw an element for me. So I simply double click on the white line and maybe set it to some other level and some other color. For example, I have a level called DES PondTop. Put the graphic on that level, set the color, the style, and the weight all to by level, and so it'll draw a red graphic 5 feet higher than the blue graphic at a 3-to-1 slope. There are other options that I could do. I could say only draw this graphic in cut or fill, so only create the slope if I'm in cut or if I'm in fill. Other options for sloping, I could slope to a certain elevation, so I know what the top elevation should be. I can key that in. Or a horizontal distance. In my case, I could, if I wanted 5 feet at 3-to-1, I could say delta horizontal for 15 feet. I can slope to an object or to a model. So there's several options just within this one tool. But simply I'm just going to select the graphic that I want to start from. That's the reference element. So I click that, pond bottom. I set the side, that's the direction that I want to slope to. So I'm going to direction out. So I'm just going to data point somewhere in the view, and the arrow is pointing out. And I'm going to tell it to use association, so that it remembers that the top of the pond is associated with the bottom. I can always maintain that relationship. It's going to be a break line, and I'm going to click apply. So what you'll see is it places a red graphic 5 feet higher than the blue graphic, and I can see the side slopes going to it. So that's the side slope tool. Now when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and finish the berm and check the volume.